Today, I want to give you the three main reasons a narcissistic mother acts like the way she does. And I want to ask you first, as a child, do you remember questioning your mother? Do you remember asking why to things she would tell you? Um, because I definitely didn't voice that question very often. And as a small child, especially, I learned very early on to never question uh, my mother and what she said to me. She was scary for me, and I simply wouldn't do that. So, if as a small child you tried to question your mother and she's a narcissist, probably you've got answers like, because I'm your mother, that's why, or you simply have to do as you're told, you're just a child. Why do you even, how dare you question me? Placing quite the divide between child and adult, and kind of implying also that the child doesn't have the capacity to understand the motives behind your actions as an adult. And I've been told that even by my family, looking at me explaining to my children reasons why I do things, or also simply listening to reasons why my children do things, and they want to explain me why. And I've heard the comments from my family going like, you're the adult, you're the parent, you don't have to explain yourself, and they absolutely, you don't have to listen to what they're telling you because they're just kids. um, and that's part of a way bigger conversation over parenting, but yeah, that's not, definitely, I don't agree with that. um, it's really important for a child feeling safe to understand the context in which something is being decided or is being told. Uh, and that just really helps the child growing up with that feeling of being listened to, being seen, being cared for, being nourished, and the safety that comes with all of that. But if you have had a narcissistic mother, narcissistic parents, that for sure was not your experience, as it definitely was not my experience. Um, Growing up as a teenager, when things my mom would do or say were really crap and they would really hurt like hell, in the privacy of my mind, the why was like a scream. It was just really loud. Why is she doing this? I couldn't get why a mother could do any of that of her own to her own daughters. I just really could not get it. Um, and and because you're a little bit older, because maybe you've tried to question her then, when you get a teenager, maybe or maybe not, maybe she was too scary to even then try to question. But if you have tried, you might be familiar with answers like, you'll understand my sacrifices when you grow up and mature a bit. Or my all-time favorite, when you become a mother, you'll get it. Well, even after becoming a mother, I still didn't get it. Actually, quite the opposite, really, because when I look at my daughters, um, I couldn't possibly imagine putting them through any of that, really. So I started getting it even less, if anything. Um, my kids ask why a lot, in fact, and I'm proud of them for questioning me. And often they give me extremely valid points, and we have incredible conversations, and that has been at the base of our relationship since they were very small. But let's get back to why a narcissistic mother acts like that. I want to say, first of all, that none of this in this episode is to excuse her behavior, um, but it's to help you understand. I know it has helped me to know actually it would have helped me to know then what I've learned in the past few years, but definitely it has been helping me since. And that is why I want to share it with you. uh, Understanding that why that reason can help you also beginning to separate um, your mother from the rest of the world, because something that can really happen, it's quite common, normal, and totally okay, but it's not helpful. It's because your mother is your entire world when you're a child. Um, she is the representation of the world. And so what happens is then we grow up feeling like everything around us, like the entire world, is like our mother. And it's a subconscious thing. I mean, when when you start becoming aware of that, you actually really start getting how much this is not helping you in life. So if your mother has been really unsafe, um, like any narcissistic mother is, then the world feels like a very unsafe place to be. At work, you might be feeling very unsafe. In Out in places, you might be feeling unsafe. You might be feeling unsafe in the privacy of your own home. Even I know that has been my experience for many, many, many years, and it still is sometimes. Um, if I get caught in that old pattern, even in my own home, I can feel unsafe. Like there's always something that is going to, that can happen at any moment. Like the lightning can strike, and I don't know where it's gonna come from. And that comes from being a child and not understanding why you could be in a quiet space. Maybe you're playing by yourself, maybe you're having your meal, maybe everything is fine, and then all of a sudden you're getting that job, or all of a sudden you're getting that abuse, whether it's emotional or physical, and you don't know why, and you can't tell when that is going to come. So you're constantly on alert. Your nervous system learns to be defensive and on alert all the time. And so that becomes your experience, not just of when you're with your mother, but it becomes your experience of your life in general and the outer world. So beginning to understand why she behaved that way can be it was for me, so it can be a help to start separating, to start going, okay, the way my mom behaved, that is, yeah, there are people out there that behave the same way, but there are plenty of people that don't, and there are plenty of circumstances where I am actually really safe, or to a degree, or way safer than I thought I am, that I thought I was. So that is the purpose of this. So let's go to the three main reasons your mother acted and still acts the way she does. And the first one, it's because she's a narcissist or has very strong narcissistic traits. And this sounds obvious. I mean, on this podcast, that's what we're talking about, narcissistic mothers. But it's not an assumption, and it is key. When I truly realized what my mother was, the real healing started for me. Up until that point, I had the responsibility all on my shoulders. I thought I felt like I was a faulty daughter, because that's what I had been told or made feel for so long. Not anymore. When you realize your mother was and still is somewhat sick, that takes the weight of your shoulders. You're not and never were responsible for her behavior. It is not because you're a bad child, like she probably often told you, and she might still tell you, that she was forced to behave like she did. That is not the reason. It is because she has her own wounds, and she is um I don't like to use the word sick, because when we use the word sick, um it's like that can be a help to understand, but I don't want to label anyone, and I don't want it's we need to be careful when we use that word. But she has been through experiences, and her choices, whether subconscious or conscious, have brought her to respond a certain way, and she doesn't realize the way she behaves really. And again, that does not justify, does not excuse, it's just to explain. It's just for you to understand, this is really important, that you can be free of the feeling of being at fault. You can be free of the feeling of being at fault and of the guilt that comes with it. It's not your burden to carry, it is not your responsibility. Whatever she does, whatever she has done, whatever she has told you, however she has treated you, it's not your fault. You did not deserve any of that, and it has nothing, nothing, nothing to do with you. The second reason why your mother behaves and has behaved the way she has is that a narcissist is incapable of feeling empathy. In order to survive whatever she went through as a child, at some point she shut down that part that feels to not ever be hurt again. And I won't go into details as it is not my story to tell, but violence and abuse, both emotional and physical, go back generations in my family, down the the f- the, the maternal line, and so no wonder my mother is the way she is right now, and has been with me as I was a child. Um, Again, it's not to justify. A narcissistic mother won't be able to tune into what others truly feel. She can say she does, of course. If you confront her on this, she will tell you that absolutely, like, she just feels so much for you. She feels for everyone, um, and that everything that she does, she's done it for you and for your own good, and also don't let's not forget all the sacrifices that she keeps such track of. They're all done for you, and she will paint herself as a martyr, asking you to feel for her when she can't feel for you at all. And that's just the reality. It that I have tried to speak to this at some stages with my mother, and it's like speaking a different language. It literally is like when you realize that the person in front of you is speaking a completely different language and there's no dictionary. She really can't get it that she's not feeling. And so it's beyond conversation. I actually really do not advise um, to go and try and have a conversation on this with your mom, because she doesn't have the tools to get it. She might one day start a journey of healing of her own choice. That has nothing to do with you. It's not your responsibility to heal her wounds. You cannot do that. You cannot do that. Um, I have tried for years and years and years, and it has been extremely unhelpful, extremely toxic, um, both for me and for her. So like it's just like cracking your skull against the wall. I mean, it's not gonna help. She just can't get it. And very often, if you have tried to express how you feel, you might be familiar with answers like, "And what about how I feel?" And you're standing there like, "Did you just not hear anything I'm after saying?" She hasn't. She hasn't, because she's entirely focused on how she feels. So yeah, she's heard the word, but the meaning is not there. She can't get what that truly means for you. Or another answer is, "Oh, that is nowhere near as bad as you are making me feel right now." So yeah, whatever you're feeling, you can be sure she's feeling worse. Your feelings are in fact irrelevant to her. All she does is ultimately for herself. And that's just the loop. That's just the game of a narcissist. The third reason a narcissistic mother behaves as she does is that she sees her child as an extension of herself, not as an individual. You have no voice, no rights, no capacity to make your own decisions, and so on. And that you can observe um, that pattern with a mother with a small child, and all the way throughout growing up, and even when you're an adult and your mom just is still treating you like you are unable to make your own decisions. Um, and it is part of the control game of a narcissist. She needs to keep control, so to to see you as a part of her that she can control the way she wants helps her achieving whatever goals. You are her property, and you have been since you were born, and she will use you for whatever she needs most. Um, some of the roles she might require of you can be to serve her as a dumping ground for all her undealt shit, a scapegoat to boast her lack of confidence. Remember, narcissists have very, 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 very little confidence, if anything at all. Um, and so they need someone to use to boost their confidence. Um, or maybe she's using you as a doormat to see to her very every needs. To anything she needs, you have to be there. You have to answer the phone. As soon as she's contacting you, you have to run for her. You have to drop everything. I remember literally dropping. I was in a job at the time and I was working, and I had a call, a cryptic message, but I need you, and I dropped everything. I told my boss, look, I have to go without an explanation, and I'm in the car racing through to get to wherever my mom was because she needed me, and that was it. Totally disregarding what I was doing. If there was an importance for me in what I was doing, that's not relevant. It's your duty to just run and see to her very need. And don't you dare say no, or there'll be consequences. And so that is a behavior that doesn't stop as you grow up, as you probably very well know. It happens when you're a child, and it keeps on happening. Like, you need to, I remember needing to provide to for her emotional needs. When I was a small child, I still had to be there for her when she needed, not the other way around like it's supposed to be. So again, these things are important. First of all, understand your mom is a narcissist. If she has behaved with you this way, if she's made you feel faulty, if she has abused you emotionally and physically, she's a narcissist. It's important to understand. It's like the base of everything. Once you get that, you're like, okay, none of that was my fault, guys. That's just the way she's built. And the next thing is that because she's a narcissist, she has no empathy, no capacity to feel for you. So, what for you seems obvious, I mean, you see someone feeling a certain way and you feel empathy. She doesn't. She doesn't. She's not wired for that. She cannot feel empathy. And the next, she does not see you as an individual. And she has done everything in her power since you were a small child to destroy your sense of self. So, more than likely, you don't see yourself as a separate thing from your mother in some way, shape, or form. And that is actually one of the steps of healing from narcissistic maternal abuse, is actually claim your individuality, your sovereignty. You are your own person. It's one of the things that breaks the cycle of pain, of such abuse. Again, why is she like this? Why can't she be the loving, nurturing mother you deserve? Because at some point, as a small child, she has suffered greatly and she has shut down. And she has no confidence in herself at all. She's carrying so much shame inside. That's the truth. So she will project all of that onto the most vulnerable thing in her life, someone that is surely not to attack back. That's her small child. It's easy, it's an easy target. She, when she was small, or at some point in her life, she has received that. And so naturally, she tries to do that to the most vulnerable being in her presence, which is a small child. And there you go. And again, it is good to understand, even if at times very hard to accept, that your mother, despite her behavior, is not inherently a bad person. No one is. She has been through some rough times as a child, and her system defended this way. And that it was particularly helpful for me to understand because becoming a mother myself, and some of you might be mothers at this point listening to this, there is a risk, a high chance actually, to repeat narcissistic patterns with your own children. I very much observed that with myself, and I have observed that with other women that have that are daughters of narcissistic mother and have children. Um, and it manifests differently if you have daughters or if you have sons, but it still can happen. And 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 when we've had a narcissistic mother, the last thing we want consciously is to do the same. And I mean, the worst thing that someone could tell me is you're like your mother. I mean, that's like the worst. It it would gut me to be told that. Um, so when I realized that some of my behaviors were beginning to be similar, manifesting slightly different, so it can be sneaky as well. You know, you're not gonna do the exact same things your mother was doing in the exact same way because you don't want to be like your mother, but they're gonna manifest, those patterns might manifest differently, okay, in sneaky ways. And when you start realizing that, there can be a serious level of shaming yourself, feeling really bad about it, um, and that's not very helpful. But if you are strongly, strongly, strongly judging your mother for her behavior, you are going to strongly judge yourself when you realize that you're behaving similarly in some ways towards your own children. Or in any other relationship in your life that that can manifest with your partner, that can manifest with your pets. Actually, I've seen that. That can manifest with your friends. I've seen that too. So it's really important to gain an understanding, which again is never justifying, of your mother behavior and recognize it for what it is. We don't need to be judging it. We can be angry, we can be furious, we can be wanting to like roar in a pillow for days. That's okay. That's totally okay. You're so okay to do that. Um, but take the judgment out of it. See it for what it is, so that when um, anything in your life manifests that it seems like a similar behavior, there is no judgment, there is no shaming, there's just a recognition of a behavioral pattern, and you can go, okay, well, this is not actually helpful. Maybe you can explore why you're behaving such a way, what triggers it, and then you can work with it, but without the blaming and the shaming, because that's just not going to help you that much. Um, a question I get is, did she have a choice to change at some point? Did your mother have a choice? Does she currently have a choice? And that is a complex question, really. And I I can't answer that as a absolute truth. I don't actually believe in absolute truths, but on this definitely, I have my own personal experience that I chose to change at some point when I realized that some relational patterns of narcissism were manifesting in my own life, that I actually was behaving in such a way with people around me. When I became aware of that, I chose to change that. It was a very conscious choice, observing what was helpful and what was not, seeing what was hurting people and what wasn't. So, but I've had tools, I've had support that my mother didn't have and doesn't have. Um, she hasn't been open to tools and support at times. So, yeah, you can say there is a choice at some point, but how much of that is conscious, how much of that is like, I I don't believe they consciously choose to hurt, like that they wake up in the morning and go, today I'm just gonna hurt my child consciously. um Whatever trauma they've experienced, whatever patterns are live in their system, create that behavior. Again, does that justify that? Not really, but it helps you understand. Um, and we can talk about this topic further down the line, maybe in another episode. But the main is the main point here is we're not talking about your mother healing journey. We're talking about your healing journey. And does anything she has been through as a child has anything to do with you? No. Is the fact that she has suffered your responsibility? No. Do you owe her anything? No. Just because she's your mother and just because she brought you into this world, whatever, and you've been told that you owe her just for that, while you can be grateful that she brought you into this world. I surely am grateful that I'm into this world, but do I owe her for that? No. Do you owe her for that? Absolutely not. Is she a highly toxic person to be around with no awareness of her behavior? Yes. So feeling some level of understanding is important in your healing process. Her journey in life remains her own. Her choices are her own. Remember that. It's really important. I can observe all day my mother choices and how her life is going from bad to worse. um, and the deep sadness and unhappiness that just are part of our everyday experience. But is that my responsibility? No, it isn't. You do what is best for you. And that's not being selfish. That is being conscious about what you can change and control and what you can't. You simply cannot control and change her life, her journey. That's her own to live. So you do what is best for you because you deserve to thrive and you deserve to be happy. And it is a process. And maybe you don't feel like happiness is even a remote possibility in your life right now. If you feel that way, I totally get it. There have been plenty of times when I felt like that, for sure. I lived with hopelessness for years, all the way to the point of being told that I was chronically depressed. Guess who loved that diagnosis? My mother, of course. Um, but then I reached out for help and I got the support that I needed. And I found that there's an abundance of joy available for me too. And there is an abundance of joy available for you in your life right now, right at this moment, and for every day of your life. Does that mean that you're never going to suffer again? Of course not. Life is life, it's a journey, and it has ups and downs. I'm not here to say that it's all going to be roses in the garden, but you have the right to be happy, and that is available for you. And that is why I'm here. I'm here to support you on this journey with these episodes that I am really happy you're here listening to. And yeah, I love that you're here because so you can start reclaiming your own joys, your right to be the woman you are, your sovereignty. You're an individual separated from your mother. You are the person that you are, and you can be so much more that you have been told you are. um, so I invite you to check out the website Women Reclaiming Their Fullness. I have a free practice, a self-love practice there that you can access. If you haven't yet, go do that. That's a great starting point. You can do that every day. You can do that as much as you want, and it's going to help your nervous system just get beginning to get glimpses of what feeling safe means, what feeling loved is, because that love that you've been craving so much from your mother, it's inside of you. We all have it. It's like there's an incredible pool of that inside of yourself, and it is there. Even if you do not feel it, even if it seems so impossible to reach, I promise you it's there. It's only a matter to just move through the layers really gently and get to it. And remember that asking for support on this journey, it's totally fine. It's allowed. It's fundamental actually, and it's there for you. That support is there. Once you start looking for it, you'll find it, and it's going to be the start of an incredible journey. So, with that, why am I here? Because every woman has the right to feel safe, loved, and alive in her life, and I love that. So, with that, lots of love, and bye for now.